YouTube. Damn. What's good, YouTube? We back with another video, bro. Uh, so look, I know it's early. Yeah, you might see sunlight, but I'm gonna watch some scary shit today, and then maybe later you gonna get gaming or whatever. But today, I got a video about chilling scares again, and it's called Six Most Disturbing Pieces of Lost Media. And I want to know what lost media could be so disturbing. Besides that one SpongeBob lost episode I seen when I was a kid with Squidward. I forgot how it went, but I know it was Squidward was like the main character of the episode. So shit, let's see what he talking about.
Solved Mysteries Lost Episode. On July 9th, 2024, one Reddit user made an extremely unsettling post on the RBI, or the Reddit Bureau of Investigation subreddit, which
This
read,
is a real place? Cat abuse on TikTok. He steals my dog on Christmas, help me find the monsters. Well, never mind. I must
help finding a TV episode to possibly solve a murder. I've spent years
Help finding a TV episode. It's waking me up.
and hours through Google trying to locate this, and was advised you guys might be able to help. Trying to find what rerun episode of Unsolved Mysteries aired on a specific date/location that I'm convinced had a story of my ex-husband murdering a couple. I was at a hotel in Bakersfield, California on August 17, 2000, and at 11 p.m. they had a rerun of Unsolved Mysteries on the TV. I have no idea what station would have played it. I'm watching them talk about a situation where a smooth-talking stranger gets himself invited into their home, etc. I jokingly kept thinking to myself, yeah, I know someone smooth like that. This person ended up murdering the couple. Fast forward to the end and they show a sketch. I literally sat up in the bed. It was my ex. Yes, he would have been.
Nigga, I would have been terrified. This is insane to see. Like, one day, like, you just with this one person for a couple months, a month maybe, at the least. Then y'all just, part ways. And then one day you watching an episode, chilling, watching an episode of Unsolved Mysteries. Boom, you see your ex sketch on the TV. You like, damn, that nigga look familiar. Then you go to your ex page or whatever, and you see it, and you put it up like, damn, this might be the thing. That's crazy, bro. And like, he could have did that to you at any point. And maybe you could have been the reason he did this to that couple. Well, not you being the reason, but like, he blamed it on you for being the reason he did that. That's crazy to me.
Been capable of that, and I believe he would have been driving through that area around that time, angry that I just left him. The user also mentioned that they had already contacted the show, but hadn't received any answers from them.
Damn.
And despite years of looking online, they haven't found any clues. Now, my first assumption when I came across this post was that it was nothing more than a hoax created by the user. After all, the idea of someone stumbling upon their ex-husband's involvement in a murder during a late-night rerun of a TV show feels almost too cinematic. Maybe they had a flair for dramatics, or maybe they were just a fan of lost media. So they crafted their own dark...
We're not finna skip past this. What is this about? Yes or no, I had 3 organs removed over the last 8 years and now rely on daily thyroid medicine to live. What the fuck? What are you going through? However, they are removed from mysterious clusters of fast-growing cysts and goisters, which doctors...
dark tale with a personal twist that would leave the readers yearning for an update that would never come. However, the more I looked into the case, the less plausible this theory seemed. For starters, I looked through their posts and comment history on Reddit and didn't find a particular interest in lost media, horror, or anything of that nature. The account was also created back in 2018, so it wasn't created recently to fabricate this bizarre story. More importantly, the details given in the post seem a bit too specific to be something the original poster just made up. I went through old TV schedule guides from around that time, and sure enough, a rerun of Unsolved Mysteries did air on the live channel on the 17th of August 2000 at around 8 p.m. But if the Reddit user is telling the truth, how did an entire episode of such a popular and well-documented TV show just vanish into thin air? Especially since the whole show is now available on YouTube, and yet there's no sign of an episode matching their description. The closest case I found was from a 1994 episode about the disappearance of Jonathan Francia. The investigators working on this case were able to create a sketch of the potential suspect, and it was a man with a long face and a cowboy hat. This did match the description the Reddit user gave in a comment about the sketch they saw on TV. However, this is where the similarities ended between the two cases. To make matters even more puzzling, another person claimed to remember something similar in a comment reading, "I have a vague recollection of this episode as well."
This has nothing to do with this, but like, okay, the lady right here.
In a comment reading, make matters even more puzzling, another person.
In my head, I used to be good at drawing, but like people like this amazes me. Like somebody could just tell you details about the person and you just can draw it out and it can be almost accurate. Is insane to me. I know this has nothing to do with that, but like, damn, this is tough.
Claimed to remember something similar in a comment reading, "I have a vague recollection of this episode as well. I'm going to go through the episodes I've watched on Unsolved Mysteries on YouTube and see if I recognize it." Unfortunately, despite rewatching all of the available episodes, they didn't find anything about the mysterious case either. Though it's entirely possible that Unsolved Mysteries changed parts of their episode after its rerun in August of 2000. As Redditor Rob Frey mentions in their comment, "The reason why it might be so hard to find and why you can't just watch old episodes to find it is the segment may have been changed from what was originally aired. Unsolved Mysteries used to edit segments as new information came forward, especially after a case was officially solved. If they caught the guy who did it, they may have removed a lot of the information from the case that made you think it was your ex, especially information that was completely speculative or a red herring. As an example, I remember they had a really good segment about a murder in a family who owned a U-Haul, and it went into a lot of the family infighting and drama, and there was at least an implication that a family member was most likely to blame. When they caught the guy and it turned out to be a random breaking and entering, they cut all of the family drama stuff out of the segment and added an update that the case was solved. The only potential flaw in this theory is that if Unsolved Mysteries changed that episode because the case was quote-unquote solved, the Reddit user would have likely learned about their ex getting arrested, but that didn't happen. From what I've seen, the most likely theory is that maybe they saw the sketch on some other crime show and are simply misremembering it as a part of the
Nah. I believe what they call it, OP? The nigga who made it? I believe him. You know how many times I've seen an episode multiple times throughout my life, and then I watch it recently, and it be nothing like it was, and I could break it down, scene. I wouldn't say scene by scene, but like part by part, damn now to a T, and people be like, "Yeah, that did happen." Like, where's So I kind of believe them. You feel me? Damn, my finger hurt. That shit hurt. Hey. Oh well.
Unsolved Mysteries episode after so many years. This would explain why no one was able to find a hint, despite scouring every episode of the show from its conception. However, if this turns out to be true, it would also make searching for what they saw on TV that night exponentially more difficult. Unfortunately, unless someone finds concrete evidence, we have no way of confirming or disproving any of these theories. That being said, if this lost media is ever uncovered by people on the internet, it could help authorities solve a decades-old crime and catch the suspect. Easily available explosive. During the 2016 Silicon Valley Comic-Con, one of the hosts of Mythbusters, Adam Savage, was doing a panel answering questions from fans of the show. Near the end of the panel, someone asked him about the biggest disaster he's experienced on Mythbusters.
What is the biggest disaster that you've ever had behind the scenes filming Mythbusters?
Now, this fan was likely expecting something tame, like a crew member spilling something, or one of the devices they build breaking the film. People flocked to the theater to see
a easily available material.
Now, this fan was likely expecting something tame, like a crew member spilling something, or one of the devices they built breaking before they could film the episode, something of that nature. However, no one could have anticipated the answer Adam gave for this simple question.
Wondering how specific to get. The biggest disaster we had was Cary Grant and Tori were investigating a easily available material and its supposed explosive properties. What they found out was so explosive that we destroyed the footage and agreed never to say what we learned.
The material they discovered was so explosive and dangerous that they had to report it to DARPA, which is a research and development agency of the United States Department of Defense. Adam also quickly moved on to the next question, likely in an effort to avoid giving any hints about what this dangerous material could be. Following that panel, he refused to utter a single word about the last episode or the material that made them destroy the footage. That silence was held until the 20th of November 2023 when he uploaded a Q&A video on his YouTube channel titled, "These Mythbusters stories got scrapped due to danger." The first question in this video was someone asking about footage that was destroyed outside of Adam's control. At first, he gave a predictable answer, explaining how network decisions like cutting scenes to make room for advertisements had led to some lost content. But before moving on to the next question, he brought up the commonly available explosive again. And while he was careful not to drop any hints about what the material could be, he did go into more detail about why they decided to erase the footage from existence.
We were looking at the purported explosive power of a commonly available material, and what we found was something so energetic when we executed it that we agreed to not talk about what we learned.
Oh, I did the recording on accident. What I was gonna say was, man, what did you find, bro? That was so explosive and destructive that you can't talk about it. Well, you don't want to talk about it. I need to know now. I'm kind of invested. I just need to know what the fuck it was so I can stay far away from it.
Easy enough to implement, easy enough to execute, that we were like, the world will not benefit from this knowledge. This is the reason you never saw a silencer episode from Mythbusters. Is a potato a good silencer? A pillow? A 2-liter bottle of soda? These are all really interesting questions. And silencers are fascinating technologically. But silenced rounds are not a benefit to humanity.
This makes total sense considering Mythbusters had tens of millions of viewers from around the world. The show built its reputation on demystifying myths and delivering facts, no matter how surprising or dangerous they might be. By withholding the episode, it may seem like they went against their own character. Some might even argue they had a responsibility to release the episode, both for the sake of scientific transparency and to educate the public about potential risks.
What is this show? I ain't never heard this show before. Mythbusters? How the fuck do y'all get a green light to do this shit? Hey, you need to just put a rocket on a truck.
Some might even argue they had a responsibility to release the episode, both for the sake of scientific transparency and to educate the public about potential risks. Educating people about the potential dangers of a common material could have sparked important conversations about safety and regulation, potentially preventing accidents born out of ignorance.
True.
But here's the other side that's hard to ignore. Mythbusters wasn't just a science show, it was also entertainment. Publishing a step-by-step guide on how to weaponize an easily available material would have been, at best, irresponsible and, at worst, catastrophic.
Understandable.
The world isn't short on people who might misuse such information, and the stakes were simply too high to ignore. So, the team's decision to shelve the episode was the responsible thing to do. That said, I did some digging online, and speculation about what this mysterious explosive could be is all over the place. Some claim that it's simply flour. For those who don't know, non-compacted flour is extremely flammable and can easily create a sizable explosion upon combustion. Another chemical that came up in multiple theories was tannerite. It's a binary explosive that is commonly used for long-range weapons practice. It's helpful for marking targets since it detonates visibly on impact. More importantly, it's widely available online. Someone can easily buy tannerite online for relatively cheap without any permit or verification. However, here's the problem with both of these theories. Neither material creates an explosive dangerous enough to justify the drastic steps the Mythbusters team took. For instance, while a tannerite explosion is certainly impressive, it's not nearly dangerous enough to warrant such a drastic response from the Mythbusters team. While researching the topic, I came
need a
across a
sword.
chemical known as triacetone triperoxide, which perfectly fits with what we know about the mystery chemical. For starters, both of the materials required to make triacetone triperoxide are found in most homes. Acetone, which is used as paint thinner and nail polish remover, and peroxide, which is commonly used as a bleaching agent for white laundry. More importantly, even tiny amounts of triacetone triperoxide can do unimaginable damage. Ultimately, unless someone somewhere has a secret copy of that episode and releases it on the internet, we'll never know for sure. And given how Adam described the danger of this material, it's just one of those rare cases where it's honestly better for the video to remain lost media.
It's gonna pop up one day.
Jay Leno Blade Incident. On April 14th, 2022, an anonymous user on 4chan's TV board mentioned a disturbing incident they remembered from an old episode of the
What is that?
to remain lost media. TV board
The fuck?
mentioned a disturbing incident they remembered from an old episode of The Tonight Show with Jay Leno. They stated, one time Jay Leno had a magician on his show and he was doing some sort of cut the lady in half trick. He starts to cut and the lady starts yelling for him to stop like she was actually getting cut or about to get cut, and they start helping her out. I have never seen or heard anything since and never been able to find the clip. The episode in question aired on the 21st of June 2001, and as the story goes, one of the guests on that episode was Arsenio Hall, who was going to perform a classic magic trick of cutting a person in half. However, while he was performing the trick, something went horribly wrong. He accidentally stabbed the woman who was volunteering for the trick. A notable thing about this episode was that Leno wanted to show solidarity with the California
Bro, how did this trick even work? No, deadass, how did this trick work? This shit is fucking me up.
A notable thing about this episode was that Leno wanted to show solidarity with the California power outages. So he hosted his show in a set that was only illuminated by scattered candles and handheld flashlights given to the audience. Maybe the lack of visibility caused Arsenio to make a mistake and harm the woman. Unfortunately, a vast majority of old Tonight Show episodes barely exist in archives and therefore are considered lost media. The June 21st episode is among those lost to time. So there's no way for me to directly verify this incident, but I did find enough clues to piece together what might have happened, and there are three distinct possibilities. First is that such an incident never actually happened and the 4chan poster was making it all up. However, this possibility doesn't hold up because I found old forum posts from 2001 where people were actively discussing the incident online after watching it. Like this person named Dan, whose post gives more details about what exactly went down. Did anyone else watch The Tonight Show with Jay Leno Monday night? It was a repeat, the one where they turned out all the lights in the studio and had a blackout. Anyways, so Arsenio Hall was the guest, and he was going to do a magic trick where he was going to cut a woman in half. So the woman is lying in the box, and he's trying to shove the blade through, and all of a sudden the woman starts screaming and yelling, "It cut me," and like immediately they cut to a commercial. I was like, what? It has to be a joke. So then when they came back from commercial, Jay seemed flustered, and they didn't mention anything else about the trick for the rest of the night. Did anyone else see this? Does anyone know anything about what happened with this woman? It was so freaky. I also found someone on Reddit who also remembers the incident and mentioned it in the comments of a
So Arsenio Hall tried to put the lady under, and then you niggas don't talk about it for the rest of the damn show. Don't they got live audience in front of them, like in the background? Like, did they pay them money not to say anything? Like, put them on an NDA or some shit like that? Cause ain't no way nobody came out and didn't talk about this. Besides the people that watch it on the TV. Like, if I was there, I'm instantly, let me get that money, and I'm still yapping about it. I'm sorry.
A post discussing the incident, stating, "Holy I thought I dreamed that episode. I've been wondering what happened to that lady for 20 years. So a woman did get stabbed on the Jay Leno show, or at least that's what it looked like to the audience. Which brings us to the second possibility. The woman did get hurt and the incident was later covered up by the network to avoid backlash from the public. However, as much as some people would like to believe this is nothing more than a conspiracy theory. Because as it turns out, the Jay Leno show is not live, it's taped ahead of time.
Oh,
So if they wanted to cover it up, they would have edited that whole thing out long before
Definitely.
the episode ever saw the light of
Definitely.
day. Even knowing this, some claim that the showrunners simply forgot to edit this section out and only realized their mistake when it was too late, which is a bit of a stretch. Think of it this way, Jay Leno's show was getting upwards of 7 million viewers in 2001.
damn.
So even if the network tried to bury the whole thing later, why didn't any of these millions of viewers cause any backlash? From what I've seen, the most plausible theory is that the incident did happen, but it was all part of a skit. And the people who thought it was somehow real were simply not paying enough attention or just didn't realize the dry humor of the scene. This would explain why there was no
Humor?
uproar from the public. And as for the episode becoming lost media, that wasn't a deliberate cover-up, but just a side effect of the pre-YouTube era when preserving TV episodes wasn't a priority. But who knows, if the speculation gains enough momentum, Jay Leno, Arsenio Hall, or someone else from the show's production team might come forward with the truth. Until then, all we have are educated guesses to piece together the mystery. Sharon Davis's Unsolved Mysteries episode. Sharon Eugene Davis was a
Sharon Davis. That name sounds familiar. Sharon Davis.
51-year-old school teacher living in Dallas, Texas. She lived with her 2 children, Autumn and Ronnie, and their husband of 21 years, Ron Davis, who she married
He
back
did
in
it.
1980.
He did it. He did it. He did it. He did it. He did it.
Unfortunately, her
did it.
relationship with Ron wasn't ideal.
He did it.
Just 5 years after their marriage in 1985,
He did
Sharon
it.
filed for divorce while describing her husband as controlling and ill-tempered. She withdrew cash from their
Sharon Davis. What is his name? Is that a Marvel character? Marvel character. It is. I'm thinking of Sharon Carter. Ain't that her name? Sharon? I don't fucking know.
mutual
Sorry.
account and was
I'm
planning to move to LA
shit
with her
throwing me
2
off.
children. However, soon after filing for divorce, she mysteriously changed her mind and returned to living with Ron. Fast forward to June 11, 2001, Sharon once again found the courage to file for divorce. And this time she was prepared to go through with the
Ew,
decision
I'm
at any
so tired.
cost. She was planning to move out of her house in the 1900 block of Elderleaf Drive, all while her attorney was trying to obtain a temporary restraining order against Ron, her husband. However, just as everything seemed to be falling into place, tragedy struck. On June 13, 2001, at around 7 a.m., Sharon dropped her daughter at Rapid Transit Park and Ride Station, 2 miles from their home, and went on her way. She was scheduled to attend a training session at Stemmons Elementary, but she never arrived. Even after her children asked their father to report their mother missing on the evening of June 13, 2001, he refused to contact the authorities until a
He
day
did it.
later, starting a citywide search for Sharon. And after 4 days of searching, investigators finally found her car abandoned in a parking lot near the Southwest Mall in Oak Cliff. The car had a broken window and was also wiped clean of fingerprints. And while all of this was highly suspicious, the lack of evidence meant that Sharon's disappearance was filed as a missing person case.
Man, I hate that, bro. I mean, I get it, but like, damn, y'all ain't got no feeling in your stomach. Like, this nigga probably did it, bro. Y'all can't put him in like no torture chamber or some shit to get the truth out. I mean, I get it. Because what if he didn't do it? Then you're fucked. That's a law case, but fuck. I know he did it, bro. It's just my feeling, though. Look at his fucking face, bro. Let's go back and look at his face, bro. The nigga did it, bro. Look at this. Look at this face. Tell me he didn't do it. This is a thug right here. This is a fucking thug. That man did it. Get him the fuck out of here.
And that Sharon's disappearance was filed as a missing person case.
And then he did it a day later. Yeah, he definitely. Yeah, yeah. He gave himself a day to, scatter all the evidence and make sure they can't find it.
Case. Ron and her 2 children were called in for interviews multiple times, but the investigators weren't able to find any leads from either of them.
Just a
Sharon's
fucking-
mysterious
Ooh.
disappearance 2 days after her filing for divorce also made Ron the prime suspect in many people's eyes.
Twice. at
However,
that.
the complete lack of evidence prevented authorities from treating him as the potential perpetrator. When asked about
that
it,
nigga
this is
did
what
it,
the lead
bro.
officer had to say. We've had a lot of people ask us if he, Ron Davis, is a suspect. This is a missing person case. There are no suspects at this time. We don't have any criminal evidence, although we fear foul play has occurred. Right now, Mr. Davis is a witness, an uncooperative witness. And after months without any leads, Sharon's case caught the attention of the producer of Unsolved Mysteries, who wanted to air an episode on her case. They produced the segment in mid to late 2001, and it was scheduled for broadcast sometime in spring of 2002. The last thing they needed was an interview from Ron. However, when
He
the
did not wanna
producers
do that
approached him,
shit.
he denied the request and was quite stern about it.
Right.
But when they wanted to air the segment without Ron's interview, he objected again and sent an accusatory letter to the producers telling them not to air the segment on Sharon. And that's where the lost media aspect of this story comes into play. The showrunners complied with Ron's request/threat and scraped the whole thing. And as
He knew niggas who was watching was like, oh yeah, they was gonna piece it together and put it right on Ron there because he did it, bro. I'm gonna keep saying that.
far as I'm aware, the footage has never seen the light of day. It's entirely possible that a witness could have come forward with critical information after seeing Sharon's story on TV.
Facts.
However, Ron's refusal closed the door on any potential leads that could have changed the course of the investigation.
He
This
knew.
obviously put a
Bitch
lot
ass
more
nigga,
attention
fuck
on
Ron.
Ron. He was even given
Get this nigga
nicknames
out my
like the
face.
most guilty non-guilty man. But it's been 22 years without any updates to Sharon's case.
You sick
Game in the
bitch.
Sand. Game in the Sand is the name of a shocking short film by the German director Werner Herzog.
Mhm.
If you've ever heard of him, you'll know he's famous for pushing boundaries,
What the
and
fuck?
not always in a good
You
way.
good?
His sets are very well known for being chaotic, and there have even been injuries and deaths during his productions. And apparently,
Man, deaths. Cancel this nigga now. Right now. Why? The fuck? What the fuck? Yeah, get this
he's
nigga out
been
of
this
here.
way since the very beginning. You see, Game in the Sand was the second film he ever created back in
I thought that was Paul
1964. However, after completing the film, Werner was so horrified by the footage that he decided to never release it to the public. The only thing we know about the short movie is that it featured 2 children, a rooster, and a cardboard box.
What the fuck?
It was also filmed in a sandy
SpongeBob
area,
ass
hence the name,
episode.
and according to Werner, things, quote, got out of hand during shooting. The premise of the movie is also a complete mystery. The only thing Werner has talked about is a scene where the rooster was buried in sand up to its neck. Everything else we know about the film comes from speculation, and given Werner's reputation, people online have come up with some pretty wild theories over the years. Some think the rooster suffocated after being buried, forcing the children to watch it slowly die. Others suggest the kids might have killed the rooster in a brutal way, either on their own or under Werner's instructions. This could explain why it was buried in the first place. Some have also speculated the opposite. Maybe the rooster injured the children with its sharp beak or claws, and Werner captured that on film. The problem with these theories, however, is that none of this comes even close to the stuff that's been released under Werner's other productions, like deaths being shown. What could have gone so wrong during the filming of Game in the Sand that was worse than this? Of course, there's the possibility that Game in the Sand isn't real at all, just something Werner made up to add an air of mystery or create hype for his future projects. Unfortunately, we'll probably never know the truth. The identities of the children involved were never made public, and the film's composer, Uwe Brandner, someone who might have been able to shed some light on what really happened, passed away in 2018. So, even if the short film is real, I highly doubt Werner would have a change of heart 60 years later and release it to the public.
Bro, you can tell
The
us, man.
Skyway Man.
The fuck is
Ormer
that?
Locklear was an American daredevil stunt pilot who became popular in the early 20th century after doing the craziest plane
fuck?
stunt of his time. After footage of his stunt went viral across the country, Ormer was hired for a role in a pseudo-documentary film about stunt flights called The Skyway Man in April of 1920. Put simply, the film was like a collection of the craziest stunts Ormer could successfully pull off in a plane. Filming for the movie began
this
on
ain't
June
real
11,
game.
1920 in the LA and San
Hollywood,
Francisco
Linger.
area. However, the stunts featured in the film were quite tough, including a church steeple being toppled by Locklear's aircraft and an aircraft-to-train transfer, both of which nearly ended in disaster. But despite the many close calls, Ormer and the other stunt pilots remained unharmed. It was soon time to record the last stunt of the film, which was relatively safe compared to what Ormer had done before. It was going to be a simple spin move that was filmed during the day with special camera filters to make it look like the whole thing was performed at night. However, when Ormer learned that the studio wasn't going to extend his contract beyond one film, he demanded to perform the stunt at night, likely as a desperate attempt to impress the producers. Unfortunately, this is where his luck ran out. On the 2nd of August 1920, Ormer and his longtime flying partner Milton Elliott took flight at night. To make the plane visible to the camera in the dark, the production crew illuminated it with massive arc lights. However, these lights were a bit too bright, so the crew was going to turn them off after the stunts just so Ormer wouldn't be blinded and he could land safely. Maybe it was negligence or simply bad luck, but the crew forgot to turn off the lights. And to everyone's
So they killed them because they didn't want to pay the nigga no money. The studios got to him. They was like, get him gone. They was like, we'll do. So they went to the other crew and they were like, lying the nigga. The other crew members was like, we'll do.
horror, the
This
plane
what happened.
crashed into the ground, killing both Ormer and Milton on impact.
However,
However, unlike today, where such an accident would shut down even the biggest film productions, at the time, Ormer's death became the selling point of the film. People flocked to the theater to see the breathtaking stunts and, more importantly, the uncut death footage of the lead stuntman. Unfortunately, the film has since been lost to time. We do have some evidence which proves that it was real, like a
man, wait a minute, bro. They didn't cut out the death scene. Bro, these niggas are sick. Who wants to see that? Unless you a horrible, like, bro. What person in their right mind want to see somebody die for real? I mean, I get it. It's a movie. You think it's special effects or whatever they called it back then. But like, the niggas who made the movie, why did you keep it in? You niggas have to look over the footage, cut some parts out. He was like, you know what? Let's keep that scene in. That's gonna be at the end of the movie. Let's keep this in. And you niggas know it's real.
memorial for Ormer and Milton in the November 1920 issue of Screenland magazine. I also found a short review for the film from the same magazine issue which reads, Ormer Locklear's Last Picture, directed by James Hogan. Louise Lovely, now a Fox star, furnishes delightful support. Full of thrills and mid-air stunts, the best picture we've had. The Fox company is giving 10% of the profits of this picture to the families of Locklear and Elliott, who are killed while filming the final scene. As for the film itself, it's become lost media in the truest sense of the word. Over the last century, there have been multiple attempts to locate a copy. All have been unsuccessful.
Man, what the fuck did I just watch? This last one was fucking insane. Like, it still pisses me off that you kept the shit in the movie. Ryan, you a bitch. I hope they catch your bitch ass. If you ain't already dead. Who else? Let me skim through this. The ex-boyfriend one. Kind of believe you, but I don't no more anymore. What else? Mythbusters. You can release that shit. But I see why you didn't. But release that shit. Niggas want to see that. Who else? Jay Leno, and Arsenal. Y'all some weird niggas. And yeah. The dude with the kids doing the crazy shit with the rooster. You gotta go. Yeah, that's my thoughts on the video. If you want more videos like this, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, all that good. And I'll see y'all was in that video. Peace.